Okay, so major scales. Um, this is the last sort of big technical thing that we have to learn for this half of the term. And you have done one sort of do it yourself, read a bunch of things, watch a PowerPoint, get some flashcards, start on this. Let me start by putting scales in context. Scales are collections of notes that are used to do many things in a piece of music. The first one is to establish what notes you're going to use to make your melody and what notes you're going to use to make your harmonies or chords. And they make a hierarchy. So they tell you where home is and where away is, and they create tension and release to pull you back to home. So, for instance, if we look at Lavender's Blue right there, which you're getting ready for to perform and such, and we've done a lot of work on. This is the scale C major. Okay, there's your flashcard. It has no sharps and no flats, and that has exactly the perfect proportions between the notes, the spaces, and whole steps and half steps to make a major scale sound. And all of those notes are used to make our melody here. There's no notes with sharps or flats. We're in what we call the key of C. That means we're using a C scale for that, okay? Melodies are made up primarily of three things. Repeated notes, like at the You'll Be My Queen, right? And go up, then come back down, okay? Skips that outline triads or other chords, so at the beginning, and then there. Ders is a flavor note on top. Or scales themselves, which is to go up or down one note at a time. So dilly dilly is the bottom four notes of the C scale. F, E, D, C, and here are the top four notes of the C scale. If you look on the next part, when you include dilly dilly together, we go C, B, A, G, F, D, B, C. It's the entire scale. And you will find again and again, you can count on like 80% of the music out there maybe to follow that. Cuddle-doon, it goes, we're still in the C scale here. This is where we're learning our first sort of pieces. And it starts with D, C, 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 D, E, E, F. So there's a bunch of repeated notes, but when it does move, it steps up through the scale, right? Then it skips down. A lot of repeated notes and then moving through the scales. Next line, E, skip down, right? So lots of repeated notes, and when it does move, it seems to move a lot by scale steps, right? Here, you and I at the end. If you look here, it goes you and I. If you drop the D out of there, it's a C triad, right? And then it goes, it's going up the scale and then stops back on the G. And it does the same thing again. And then it goes, psych, we'll go back down, no, we'll go back up, now we'll go up, and then down. It's playing around on the scale. And then the final one, on measure 5, it's going to take the whole scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And before we go down, we'll just up and then skip down again. Okay? Usually, like I said, you can categorize most tunes into lots of repeated notes or noodling around a certain note, skips that make or outline chords, or outright scale passages that just go one note at a time, up or down, or zigzagging. Okay? They also set up a hierarchy. Using the C scale here on all these pieces, if we wrote out the C scale, hold on, I'll do that for you. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. Okay? This would be note number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 again, because it's just up at the top. The scale actually builds what we call a key or a sonic world of where there's a home, which is C, in this case. And all the other notes are various, the chords there are various levels of away. And then this fifth note right here, a G, and the chord that goes with it, brings us back to the C. So if you're listening to all the songs that we've been doing, like Lavender's Blue, it starts off with C, home. Lavender's blue, dilly dilly, and then we get to go 4. That's the F chord, right? F chord, scale degree 4. Call that the 4 chord because it's starting on the 4th scale degree. And then G, which is the 5 chord, and 5 takes us back to 1. C. So all these other chords, in fact, I kind of, sometimes I teach really basic ideas of chord functions, what they do. If you think of this as a hamburger, I'll draw it in black and white. I don't have enough colors, right? And the patty in the hamburger is your chord that starts on scale degree 1, okay? And then, gosh, I don't know why I'm using blue. If you think of the bun, right, that goes around it, clearly this is a profile of the burger. That's the chord that starts on scale degree 5. And then all the other things, any other chord that you might use, are the condiments and other things. They could be bacon, they could be really nasty looking green, I will call that lettuce, and pickles, and I guess cheese. The closest we'll get is orange there as well. Now, all of these things that go into the burger are important to its flavor, and people have different preferences on how that tastes. Similar for music, different chords you use, that's fine. But in the end, it all gets held together at the end by the bun, and it's squished up and then brings back to there, right? So we can write songs based on these things. So if I go like this, C chord, 1, good. Now if I want cheese, that's probably my 4 chord F. And then I'm ready to go back, so I got the bun, that's 5. And back to 1. But we could try other flavors of things, right? But we're almost always going to end with 5 going to 1. Or we can end an interior phrase with 5, which says we still need to go on. So here's my 1 chord. And I'm going to go to 6, which would be my A, in this case A minor. And that was nice. I'm going to go back to 1 and go back to 6 again. That's the A chord because A is C, it's number 6 in the scale. Now I'm going to go to 2, and I'm going to go from 2 to 5. So I went from D to G, and you can start to make up songs that way. So knowing your scales and what the actual notes are and things like that and their relationships is an even bigger world thing than just being able to play them and spell them and stuff. In fact, we will start to categorize all the chords we know by, if I have a 1 chord and it's C, what's the 5 chord? And you'd say, it's G. Okay, and I want you to think about this for a minute. If I had, if I was playing in a D scale, let's just use a different color here, right? I'll just get rid of this. If I was playing in a D scale, don't worry about sharps and flats and things right now, but there's my notes, 1 of each, and we'll have to add some sharps to make the distances right. Then D would be my 1, what's my 5? And that would be A. And these are very important sets to go together. There are your burger and bun, the sort of like the bare minimum you need to make a song or a hamburger or something like that, okay? So that's it for this video, and we're gonna have another video now showing you how to organize your flashcards and how to start spelling scales.